is our last question, and we'll get into our question and answers. In your opinion, what are the 3 top priorities in the state that you believe need to be addressed at the legislative level in order to improve the quality of public education in Texas? And what will you do to support and take action to improve educational outcomes in our communities? And please try to be specific on the answers.
Okay, so top 3. First of all, funding. You know, often the government is accused of throwing money at problems. The government does that sometimes, but we recognize it does take money to educate children. That's important. So funding, a fair funding system for every child in Texas, regardless of their zip code. Our part of the state is not being treated adequately and fairly under the current system, so funding is going to be it. Let me mention one more thing about our teachers and our retired teachers. Our teachers who've retired, we made a promise to them, and it's important the state step up and adequately fund teacher retirement and health care for our retired teachers. I've got a record of doing that. I've been honored by the retired teachers for doing that. I want to make sure we talk about that. We can't forget about that. So funding needs to be fair, it needs to be enough. And then local control. We talk about this a lot, it's very real. Local control means supporting bills that say we're going to free up our local schools from these state mandates. I voted to do this many times. We need to keep pushing. I want to work with my superintendents in my districts, continue to, and get them in this program where they can be innovation districts and get out from under a lot of the state mandates. Local control is a tremendous piece of the pie. Along with local control, of course, think about the education code. I mentioned it's almost 1,600 pages long. It grows every session. I voted against a number of those mandates being added to it. Let's scale that back. It's going to take a while, but let's work with our principals, our superintendents, and let's scale back that education code and free up our teachers to do what they want to do, what they need to do, and what they're gifted in, what they love doing, helping those children. And then innovation. We've talked a little bit about the technology. It's there, and that's a big piece of the solution. The state needs to give more tools. If we put the right tools in place and let our teachers go, they're going to do what needs to be done. They're going to come alongside those students and meet those individual needs, and even the ones that are hard to educate and get there. So funding, adequate funding, local control, and innovation. If we do those 3, we'll keep moving forward.
I agree. Funding. Funding is a big issue. We've got to get the proper funding to you. You can't do your job without it. The other thing is economic development, which goes along with my 3rd, is bringing in jobs, okay? You can sit all day long and you can educate a child. You can teach and teach and teach and teach. And when they graduate, they don't have a job. What are they going to do? And that's one of the problems we're running into now. We raise great kids, and then you educate them. And then what do we do with them? We export them to Little Rock, to Austin, to Dallas, because there's no jobs here. We've got to bring jobs. We can talk about funding all day long and it means nothing. You know why? Because there's only so much money. So all of this is talk until we do something about it. We've got to go out, and that's my focus. I'll travel this country to find people who will bring companies into our communities. We've got to have them here. We've got to be able to put our young people to work. Our senior citizens are passing. In most of the small towns, that's our tax base. When they're gone, we've lost the money. We need these young people that you've educated to get jobs and to have here and to pay taxes. That's the only way you're going to get more money into the school system. Because there's only so much money. Yeah, I can go in and I can look at the fraud and the abuse, and I'll do that. And I'll get rid of that. But that's not going to be enough. To keep up with the future and your future needs, we're going to have to bring industry in here, and we're going to have to get that tax revenue. That's the way you're going to get more money in the TO for education. And that's the only way. Anything other than that, it's just blowing smoke. I don't care who tells you that.
The top 3 priorities in the state, first I would say, is to ensure that we have a constitutional funding system. We shouldn't have been waiting for the courts. We knew there was a problem. For each of the sessions that I've been involved in, I've advocated for moving ahead, but we have not done that. Also, we must fulfill our promises to our teachers. And we did not fund the insurance and pensions for our teachers adequately until this last session, the 3rd session that I've had an opportunity to participate in. And that is wrong. I voted for the second and third reading of the supplemental appropriations bill. There were Senate amendments that came over. And it had nothing to do with retired teachers and their pensions and health care. And I voted against the Senate amendments, but I did support fulfilling our promises, commitments to teachers. The second thing we need to do is to return testing and assessment authority to local districts and use nationwide norm reference tests for accountability purposes. And 3, we need to remove mandates and allow local districts and parents to direct the education of their children. We just need to get out of the way and leave teachers to teach and parents to parent.